Hello my dear friends. So friends, we have been discussing the concept of place of supply. So just few more sections are left out in the place of supply, which we'll complete today. In this particular lecture, we'll close with the balance points of place of supply and in fact close with this topic called place of supply. Are we clear? Very good. So without any second thought, let's move forward, complete the balance points in place of supply and close with this topic. Are we ready? So today we'll give an end to this topic of place of supply. And one such topic which is important in exam for 4 to 6 marks also. And I also told you there were a couple of occasions where this came in exam for 8 marks also. And that is the reason why very clearly I discussed so many good number of questions with you. Clear? So what we'll do first is, let's once quickly revise once again. Then we will start with some balance points left out in section 13 and close with this topic called place of supply. Ready? Tell me friends, first of all, we all know that we are dealing with IGST Act. Of course, in place of supply, we are not concerned with CGST Act at all. We are concerned only with IGST Act. Can you please tell me what is section 7 of IGST Act? Section 7 deals with intrastate supply. Section 8 deals with intrastate supply. And the fundamental difference is that if the location of supplier and the place of supply both are in same state, we call it as intrastate supply. But if the location of supplier and the place of supply are in different state, we call it as intrastate supply. Then friends, what is section 9? Section 9 says if location of supplier or place of supply is in territorial waters, then it is regarded as the coastal state or UT. It is regarded as it is there in coastal state or UT where the nearest point of appropriate baseline is located. Clear? Good. Then my dear friends, what is section 10? Section 10 talks about place of supply in relation to goods. And as I already told you, in 10 we have got 10.1 as well as what my dear friends, 10.2. And in 10.1 again we have got 10.1a, 10.1b, 10.1c, 10.1d, 10.1e. And what does 10.1a talk about? 10.1a talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods, which clearly says place where movement of goods terminates for a delivery to the recipient. What is 10.1b? 10.1b is basically a point where goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of third person, technically called as build to ship to model. And in that case, place of supply will be principal place of business of such third person. Then what is 10.1c? 10.1c talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. And in case where there is no movement of goods, law clearly told place of supply is the place, other words, the location at the time of delivery of the goods. Clear? 10.1d talks about place of supply in case where goods are assembled or installed, where law told in case of goods assembled or installed, place of supply is the place where goods are assembled or installed. Finally, last one, 10.1e, my dear friends. 10.1e talks about place of supply for goods supplied on board a conveyance, for which law clearly told place where goods are taken on board. Then, after that, my dear friends, 10.2 clearly says if place of supply of goods cannot be determined, if place of supply of goods cannot be determined under section 10.1, then 10.2 says it may be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. So as of now, nothing is prescribed, but there is a possibility that in case we are unable to break the point, other words, unable to decide what is the place of supply by applying section 10.1, then government will use the power of 10.2 and they will determine what is the place of supply. Then my dear friends, what is the answer for section 11? We learned that 11 is divided into 11a and 11b. 11a talks about place of supply in case of import of goods. 11b is export of goods. And for import, what is the answer, my dear friends? For import, the answer is location of importer. For import, the answer is location of importer. And for export, the answer is location outside India. For import, what is the answer, guys? Location of importer. For export, the answer is location outside India. Clear? That's it. Then, what is the answer for section 12, my dear friends? As we already learned, in 12 we have got 12.1 to 12.14. And by the way, what does 12.1 say? 12.1 says that section 12 will apply only if location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India. Come on friends, provisions of section 12 will apply only if location of supplier and location of recipient both of them are in India. What does 12.2 talk about? 12.2 is basically the general rule which says that if a recipient is registered person, place of supply is the location of such person. And if recipient is unregistered person, if address on record exists, then location of recipient. But if address on record does not exist, then location of supplier. Then 12.3 talks about place of supply for service in relation to immovable property, including accommodation service. And place of supply is the place where immovable property is located or intended to be located. And 12.4 talks about restaurant and catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. And place of supply is the place where services are actually performed. And 12.5 talks about training and performance appraisal services. And for training and performance appraisal, place of supply for registered person, location of such person, unregistered person, place where services are actually performed. Then 12.6 talks about admission to event. There also law told if recipient, admission to event, right? Straight away the answer is place where event is held or amusement park is located. 12.7, very interesting and very important. And we know that 12.7 talks about something called organizing an event, where law told if recipient is registered person, location of such person. But if recipient is unregistered person, place of supply is the place where event is actually held. And one special point there is that if event is held outside India, place of supply is the location of recipient. Correct? Good. 12.8, transportation of goods, where they told recipient registered, location of that person. Unregistered, place where goods are handed over for their transportation. And one special point we learnt in 12.8 was if the goods are destined outside India, that means basically the goods are going outside India, then the place of supply is the place of destination of such goods. Then my dear friends, 12.9 talks about service by way of transportation of passengers. If recipient is registered person, location of such person. And if recipient is unregistered person, place of supply is the place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. Place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. Then 12.10 talks about, come on friends, I repeat one more time, 12.10 talks about services on board a conveyance, where the answer is first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. 12.11 telecommunication, where we learnt about 2 points there. One, fixed line, the place where fixed line is installed. Other thing we learnt was about mobile, and in mobile we divided them into 2 categories, prepaid and postpaid, and in both cases the answer is different. Then 12.12 talks about banking and financial services, including stockbroking, and the answer is straight away location of recipient on the records of supplier. But if the location of recipient is not available on the records of supplier, then the place of supply will be location of supplier. 12.13 insurance services, recipient registered, location of such person. Recipient unregistered, then the location of recipient. Both are almost the same. 12.4 advertisement services to central government, state government, statutory body and local authority. And there we learned very clearly about advertisement on train, advertisement on TV, advertisement on internet, advertisement through SMS, advertisement on the back of railway tickets. All these interesting points we have done. Correct? And in this context, my dear friends, one point to be highlighted is that in 12.3 we spoke about Rule 4. 12.7 we spoke about Rule 5, which says follow GAAP, generally accepted accounting principle. And 12.14 we learnt about Rule 3. That's it. Then, after all this got over, my dear friends, we started discussion about section 13. And 13, I clearly told you that in entire section 13, you will not find a difference between recipient registered, recipient unregistered. Come on. 13.1 talks about place of supply in case where location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. 13.2 talks about general rule, which says that location of recipient is the place of supply if it is available in the ordinary course of business. However, if the location of recipient is not available, in the ordinary course of business, then place of supply will be location of supplier. If location of recipient is not available in the ordinary course of business, then place of supply will be location of supplier. Then, my dear friends, 13.3 talks about something important point, performance based services. And in this 13.3, I already taught you 13.3a. 13.3b, my dear friends, come on. What is 13.3a dealing with? 13.3a clearly talks about first point, that is service in respect of goods which are physically made available. Place of supply is the place where services are actually performed. Next, number 2, service in respect of goods from a remote location by electronic means. Then the place of supply is location of goods at the time of supply of service. And last one, goods imported temporarily into India for the purpose of repairs or any treatment or process, and they are exported after that repairs or treatment or process. Then the place of supply is not determined by 13.3 but to be determined by 13.2. Nothing but general rule. Then 13.3b talks about what? Come on. 13.3b talks about something interesting, that is service supplied to an individual which requires physical presence of individual. And there the answer is what? The place where services are actually performed. Then 13.4 talks about immovable property, where the answer is place where immovable property is located or intended to be located. Of course, it is same like 12.3, but difference we have to observe is that in 12.3 we have got one special point which also says that if immovable property is located or intended to be located outside India, then place of supply is location of recipient. That point is not there in 13.4. In 13.4, nowhere they use the word called if immovable property is outside India, POS is location of recipient. That language is there only in 12.3 but not in 13.4. That point has to be kept in mind. It's important. Then 13.5, my dear friends, come on. What is 13.5? 13.5 talks about admission to event or organizing an event. For admission to event, organizing an event, admission to event or organizing an event, what is the answer? Come on, speak out. The place where event is held. Next, 13.6, my dear friends. 13.6 clearly says if services referred to in 13.3, 4, 5 are performed at more than one location. If services referred to in 3, 4, 5 are performed at more than one location, including taxable territory, then place of supply will be the location in taxable territory. Then next, my dear friends, 13.7 talks about if services referred to in 3, 4, 5 are performed in more than one state, then POS will be each of the respective state in proportion to the value determined in the contract or agreement. And in the absence of the contract or agreement, law told for 13.3 will apply one rule called Rule 7, my dear friends, which says if the service is performed on same goods, then divide the value of service equally in between two states. If it's on different goods, then the value of service is apportioned in the ratio of invoice value of the goods. And last one, service supplied to an individual, the answer is very clear, follow something called GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. Then 13.4 talks about immovable property. For that, we'll follow Rule 8. And Rule 8 says, go back to Rule 4. Rule 4 is nothing but immovable property, 12.3. Then 13.5 talks about Rule 9, my dear friends. And Rule 9 says, go back to Rule 5. Rule 5 we learnt in section 12.7, organizing an event, where it clearly says, follow something called GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. That's it. Come on, friends. After this, we have done discussion. The last discussion what we have done in the previous class was 13.8. And 13.8, we have got 13.8a, 13.8b, 13.8c. What is 13.8a, my dear friends? 13.8a talks about something interesting. What is that? Come on. banking and financial services to its account holders. And 13.8b talks about what? Come on. 13.8b talks about very interesting point, intermediary services. And finally, last one, 13.8c talks about another last interesting point. What is 13.8c, my dear friends? Hiring of means of transport up to 1 month. Hiring of means of transport including yachts up to a period of 1 month, but excluding aircraft and vessel. And in all the three cases, 13.8a, b, c, in all the three cases, straight away law told place of supply is location of supplier. Place of supply is what, sir? Location of supplier. I'm sure this point makes sense. Good. That's an interesting story for section 13.8, my dear friends. Then, let me start a new discussion now. Next point, my dear friends, section 13.9. Please listen first, then we'll write down. 13.9 talks about service by way of transportation of goods. Come on, friends, what is the line, sir? Service by way of transportation of goods. Service by way of transportation of goods. Other than by way of mail or courier. That means for mail or courier, this 13.9 will not apply. I repeat one more time. For mail or courier, 13.9 will not apply. And if 13.9 will not apply, what will apply then? 13.2, general rule. So general rule is always there with us. If any service is not covered under a specific subsection, then general rule will apply. 13.2 is there with us. Correct, right? Other than by way of what, sir? Mail or courier. What is mail? Mail is nothing but post. Clear? And for entire service by way of transportation of goods, other than by way of mail or courier, place of supply is the place of destination of such goods. Place of supply is what, sir? Place of destination of such goods. That means basically we are not looking at where the goods are handed over. We are looking at where the goods are destined to. Otherwise, where the goods are going. Correct, right? So what is 13.9 talking about? Service by way of transportation of goods other than by way of mail or courier. For mail or courier, 13.9 will not apply. We'll go back to general rule. Clear? Now listen. So let's say there is one person called Mr. Ram. Ram is basically in India. Now, Ram's goods are at US. Okay, let me put it like this. Some goods belonging to Ram are in US. Come on, my dear friends. Some goods belonging to Ram are at what, sir? US. So what has happened is Ram contacted somebody called FedEx. Okay, FedEx is not acceptable because FedEx is basically a courier service and we have to talk about something called other than mail or courier. So there is something called PQR Transporters. PQR Transporters Inc. of US. So Ram contacted PQR Transporters Inc. of US and paid them $500. Paid them what, my dear friends? $500 to basically pick up the goods and deliver to Ram. Pick up the goods and deliver to what, my dear friends? Ram. Now I'll ask you one question. Can you please tell me who is supplier in this case? Who is giving the service? Supplier is nothing but PQR Transporters Inc. and recipient is nothing but RAM. So generally for transportation, my dear friends, whoever is paying the freight, he is called recipient. So freight charges are paid by RAM. So he is called recipient. And what is the nature of service? Nature of service is very clearly service by way of transportation of goods. And one of them is outside India. And when one of them is outside India, section 13 only will apply. Sir, fundamental point. Whenever you see any question, first thing what you have to observe is whether supplier recipient both are in India or one of them is outside India. When both are in India, then only section 12 will apply. If both are in India, then only section 12 will apply. If any one of them is outside India, then section 12 will not apply. Section 13 will apply. Clear? Good. And what is the answer for place of supply? Place of supply is the place of destination of such goods. In this case, place of supply will become India because the goods are destined to India. That's it. That is end of story for section 13(9), my dear friends. Small point, but important point, interesting point. So please take it. So in case of service by way of transportation of goods other than by way of mail or courier, 13(9) will come into picture, which says that place of supply is the place of destination of such goods. And for mail or courier, what will you do? Mail or courier, 13(9) will not apply. So we'll go back to the general rule, nothing but 13(2), sir. Come on, write it. Take it, come on, don't relax. Please do write. Come on guys, please write down. Some of them are busy in seeing my face. Some of them are busy in seeing the logos, pictures and other things. So please don't do that. Focus on subject. Whenever I give you videos, I'll give you videos in different technology. I've used different softwares for the purpose of recording the lectures. So next video you will find some different design of mine. And after that another video you will find a different design of mine. Sir, you don't focus on the design. Please focus on the content what we are giving. That's more important. So don't focus on me first. Focus on what you have to write. When I'm teaching, when I'm telling the concept, focus on me. Please observe what I'm talking about. But now please write down. You just don't keep watching the screen like that. Please write down. And some of them are one side opening Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, whatnot. And busy in watching Sonu Sood, what he is doing. Please sir, come on. Keep all that aside. When you're watching a lecture, watching a video, please focus only on the video. Our class video, nothing else. Don't divert yourself. And some friends are there, extraordinary students. One side they are watching video, other side background music is going on. How will that work then? When you are watching a lecture, please make sure that nothing is distracting you and nothing is there in and around you except your subject. Sit properly and watch properly. Then things will happen. Can I move forward? Done. I'll proceed. Next section. Section 13(10), my dear friends. So that's why I clearly told you 13 will not take much time. The more time taking objective is all about section 12 only. And 12 you are perfect, 13 becomes easy task. Clear? See now. So let's look at section 13(10), my dear friends. Now what does 13.10 talk about? 13.10 talk about place of supply in case of service by way of transportation of passengers. Service by way of what? Transportation of passengers. So 13.9 was talking about service by way of transportation of goods, and 13.10 is talking about service by way of transportation of passengers. Makes lot of sense actually. Come on. And what did law say in 13.9? In 13.9, law told in case of service by way of transportation of passenger, place of supply is the place where passenger embarks on conveyance. Place where passenger embarks on conveyance for continuous journey. Already we heard this language in section 12.9. Same language we heard, no change at all. That's where I clearly say, my dear friends, that if you are perfect in 12, 13 is a very easy task. Listen now. So let's say there is somebody called Mr. Shivateja. Mr. Shivateja. Now, I am traveling from Dubai to India. Dubai to India. Come on, my dear friends, please concentrate. I am traveling from where? I am traveling from Dubai to India through Emirates flight. I'm traveling from Dubai to India through Emirates flight, and basically I paid $1,000 for ticket. $1,000. I'll change it as $500. $500 for ticket. Now tell me guys, who is supplier in this example? Come on, please speak out. Emirates will become the supplier who is providing service of transportation of passenger. And Shivateja becomes what, my dear friends? Recipient. So in this particular example, my dear friends, what will become place of supply, sir? Place of supply is nothing but Dubai, because the place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. As it is same thing we learnt in 12.9, but the point in 12.9 to be noted is that 12.9 says if recipient is registered person, then location of such person. If recipient is unregistered person, then only the answer is place where passenger embarks on conveyance for continuous journey. And that is why at the starting of section 13 only, I clearly told you that in section 13, you will not find a word called recipient registered, recipient unregistered. Straight away you will find the answer, straight away you will find the concept. Come on, please write this point. Over. Done, my dear friends. 13 is coming to an end. But one section will take a lot of time. That is where we will focus too much. So what is 13.8? 13.8 is talking about banking and financial services, and also the intermediary services, and also about hiring of means of transport up to 1 month, including yachts, excluding aircraft and vessel. 13.9 is talking about transportation of goods. 13.10 is talking about transportation of passengers. And place of supply is the place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. Done? Can I proceed? If you finish writing, I'll move forward. In this case, answer is Dubai because Dubai is the place where passenger embarked on the conveyance. Clear? I'll proceed then. Next, my dear friends, next, nothing is there in this. I'll just close in one line. 1311 straight away is same as 1210. That is nothing but for services on board a conveyance. For services on board a conveyance, POS is the place where, or let me write like this, POS is the first scheduled point of departure. POS is what, my dear friends? First scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. Come on friends, what is POS? POS is nothing but the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. Same thing we learnt in 1210 also, but we're talking about service on board a conveyance. Now don't think, sir, why this point is coming again in 13? The logic is simple. If both are in India, 1210 will apply. If one of them is outside India, 1311 will apply. That's it. Clear? No doubt in that. 13 will apply only when supplier or recipient, one of them is outside India. 12 will apply only when supplier and recipient both are in India. Right on. Place of supply is the first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. That is something like in previous example, when Shivateja is coming from Dubai to India, let's say on board the flight, I have taken some services on board the conveyance. Then for that particular service, the place of supply will become Dubai because the first scheduled point is Dubai. Write down please, come on, quickly finish off writing. 1311 is also over now. Just 1-2 points are left. 1312, 1313. 1313, nothing is there. 1312 will take some time. And that if we are done, chapter is over. Done. Can I move forward? Yes. So my dear friends, before I proceed to the next section, I want you to focus on a small understanding I'll give you now. A small way of understanding. See. 12-1, 12-2, 12-3, 12-4, 12-5, 12-6, 12-7. Okay. This way it won't be sufficient. Let me do this way. 12-1, 12-2, 12-3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 12 under 12, 14. Other side, section 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 6, 13, 7, 13, 8, 13, 9, 13, 10, 13, 11, 13, 12, 13, 13. Clear, right? And last 2 points are still left out. We'll talk in detail. Come on, listen first. Sir, it is something like 12-1, 13-1. Both of them are on same lines, wherein 12-1 talks about what, my dear friends? 12-1 clearly says that 12 will apply only when both are in India. 13-1 says 13 will apply when one of them is outside India. And 12-2-13 rule, both of them, 12-2-13-2 talks about general rule. Next, 12-3. 13.4, both are same. We got 12.3, 13.4, both of them talk about immobile property. Correct? Sorry, wait a second. Yeah, 12.3, 13.4 talks about immobile property. Exactly. 12.4 is different. Restaurant, catering, personal grooming, fitness and all. So forget it. 12.5 training, performance. Like that also nothing is there in section 13. But 12.6, 12.7 both of them talk about something called admission to event, organizing an event. 12.6 talks about admission, 12.7 talks about organizing, and both of them together are covered in 13.5. Because 13.5 talks about services for admission to event or organizing an event. Then 12.8 is same as 13.9 because 12.8 talks about transportation of goods, 13.9 also transportation of goods. Then 12.9 transportation of passenger, 13.10 also transportation of passenger. 12.10 service on board a conveyance, 13.11 also services on board a conveyance. Next, 13.345 performed at more than one location, including taxable territory. Then place of supply is location in taxable territory. That's what 13.6 told. Then 13.7 says is 345 performed in more than one state. Then POC is each of the respective state in proportion to the value determined in the contract or agreement. In the absence of contract or agreement, they will apply provisions of rules. That's it. So I just wanted to give all these arrow marks so that you get complete clarity of thought and interlinking between section 12 and section 13. And just to add on more knowledge here, 12.3 has got rule 4, 12.7 has got rule 5, 12.11 has got rule 6, 12.14 has got rule 3, sir. 12.14 has got what, sir? Rule 3. Next, 13.3 has got rule 7. 13.4 has got rule 8. 13.5 has got rule 9. And rule 8 same as rule 4. Rule 9 same as rule 5. That's it, sir. Sir, I want the summary in your book. Because write the summary, next time when you sit and revise once, it will become easy for you to correlate which subsection is what and from where what subsection is coming. That clarity of thought will come and you will not do any kind of mistake. So definitely I want you to write this. Please take it, come on. Please write down. So just 1-2 points are left now. With that, we'll close with place of supply. But of course, 13-12 will take some sweet time. So we have to give some time for 13-12. Take the summary, come on, quick. Please don't relax. Please write, come on, quickly, you write down. Last 30 seconds. Finish off writing, come on. So between whatever gaps are there, those gaps are those where section 12 has got different point, 13 has got different point. For example, 12.4 is there. It talks about restaurant, catering, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. Like that, there is no point in 13. If there is no point in 13, what will happen then? General rule will apply. And 12.5 talks about training and performance appraisal. Like that, it's not there in 13. So general rule will apply in 13. Clear? So what is 12, 12, 12, 13, sir? 12, 12 is talking about banking. 12, 13 is talking about insurance. Done. I'll proceed and move forward then. Come on, my dear friends. Done, right? Can I proceed? Come on. So what we'll do now is, before I teach you section 13.12, my dear friends, let me teach you some concept of section 14, my dear friends. Why? Because we need to learn section 13.12 in line with section 14. Why? I'll tell you, my dear friends. 13.12 talks about place of supply in case of order service. Sir, this order word is not a new word for us. I already taught you this word order when I was teaching the chapter called registration. And there I just told you the full form for what is order. And order stands for online information. Online information database access and retrieval services. That means online there is some information, or there is some database which we can access and we can retrieve. Online information database access and retrieval services. Correct, right? Now let me give a classic example for that. The classic example is nothing but Netflix, my dear friends, YouTube, Amazon Prime. All these are basically giving order service. For example, sir, when you take Amazon Prime subscription, when you make payment, you can start watching the content there. Whatever movies are there, TV shows are there, everything you can start watching. Correct or not? Now, do you really think when you click the play button, somebody is sitting there and playing for you? No, the data is already stored on the cloud. The data is already stored online. On the cloud, the data is already stored and you can access and also retrieve the content. Otherwise, download the content. Correct, right? So basically, let me tell you, my dear friends, section 14 talks about the concept of order. 14 talks about what? Concept of order. 14 talks about what is the concept of order, and 13.12 talks about what is the place of supply for order. So my approach is, first let's learn what is the concept of order, then we can learn what is the place of supply for order service. First let's become perfect in the concept of order. Are we ready? Let me start. Come on. First of all, my dear friends, a service is regarded as order service only when it is automated using technology and involving minimal human intervention. Involving what, my dear friends? Minimal. Minimal means the most minimum human intervention. Correct, right? And by the way, what is the full form for order? Order stands for online information database access and retrieval services. Come on, my dear friends. What does order stands for, sir? Order stands for online information database access and retrieval services. So that basically means online there is some information, Online there is some information or there is some database which we can access and we can retrieve. That's why I give a classic example for Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube. Correct, right? It's already stored on the cloud, online data, but involving minimal human intervention. That is, it is not possible to provide. It is not possible to provide without technology support. Classic example, my dear friends. Movies online, then songs online. We have got some apps like Wink Music where you can download that app and start listening a lot of songs there. Or there could be, my dear friends, games online. Correct, right? And there is something like advertisement on internet. Advertisement on internet or any other cloud services. Cloud services is something like online data storage. Correct, right? Nowadays, entire data is stored in the cloud. I mean, in your case also, when I'm giving you the lectures for you, I'm giving you through a Google Drive link. So on Google Drive, I store the content and that content you are able to access and you're able to watch that videos. Correct or not? And it is not possible to provide without technology. Clear? Good. Come on. So write this point first. A service is regarded as order service only when it is automated using technology and involving minimal human intervention. That is an important point. That is, it is not possible to provide without technology support. Please write this first. Then only I can go to next point. But first write this. Come on. 13-12 we'll talk last. 13-12 is talking about basically place of supply for order service. But first let's become perfect in what is the concept of order. Then we can talk about what is the place of supply for order service. Write down, come on, please write. And moreover, our focus is all about orders who are sitting outside India, especially example like Netflix. So Netflix is not in India, it's outside India. And that they're also charging much higher compared to any other OTT platform of Amazon Prime, ZEE5, Sunnext, whatever you look at, compared to all that, Netflix price is always higher. You can just compare that if you want. And the price is higher because it's sitting in foreign and they are paying more amount for the purpose of delivering content in India. That's how they are charging more from the customer. Finish writing? What are the examples we wrote there? Movies online, songs online, games online, advertisement on internet or any cloud services, cloud computing, etc. Can I move forward? Done. Let me proceed. Friends, listen now. Sir, we are talking about order which is outside India. Order which is outside India. Now, interesting point, what I want to tell you is something like this. So, please listen, very properly concentrate, sir. When I am talking about order outside India, sir, order outside India is supplying service. Order outside India is supplying service to other than NTOR, or order outside India is supplying service to NTOR. Now, big question is, what is NTOR? Let me tell you, my dear friends, NTOR stands for non-taxable online recipient. Come on friends, what does NTOR stands for, sir? NTOR stands for non-taxable online recipient. Now what is the interesting part you have to understand here? Now who is non-taxable online recipient? Before I tell you that, let me tell you what difference it makes when we supply service to NTOR, when we supply service to other than NTOR. When we supply service to other than NTOR, receiver is liable to pay tax under RCM. That is nothing but RCM stands for reverse charge mechanism. The cases where supplier is not liable to pay GST, instead receiver is liable to pay GST. In general, who is liable to pay GST? Supplier. But in RCM cases, supplier is not liable to pay, receiver is liable to pay. Come on guys. So when order outside India is supplying service to a person other than NTOR, person liable to pay tax is recipient, because recipient is liable to pay tax under RCM, and RCM stands for reverse charge mechanism. But right side you see now, if order is giving service to NTOR, then law told very clearly, order is liable to pay GST. Who is liable to pay GST, boss? Order is liable to pay GST. And couple of interesting points I will write now. Listen. First listen, come on, then you can write, concentrate. If order does not have physical presence in India, come on my dear friends, what is the language, sir? If order does not have what, my dear friends? Physical presence in India, then their representative in India is liable to pay GST. Come on friends, what is the interesting line we wrote, sir? If order is supplying service to other than NTOR, who is liable to pay GST, my dear friends? Recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. But if order is supplying service to NTOR, who is liable to pay GST? Order is liable to pay GST. If order does not have physical presence in India, their representative is liable to pay GST. And finally, next point. If there is no such representative, then they must appoint a representative Come on friends, what is the line we wrote, sir? If there is, what sir? No such representative. If there is no such representative, then they must appoint a representative and make him liable to pay. In fact, my dear friends, this kind of language already I taught you while teaching something called section 9.5. If you remember, in case of certain notified services through e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST. And if e-commerce operator does not have physical presence in India, the representative is liable to pay GST. And if there is no such representative, they must appoint a representative and make him liable. I told you that, and there I taught you 3 services. Number 1, service by way of transportation of passengers by way of radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab. Number 2, services of hotel accommodation except when hotel is liable to be registered. Correct, my dear friends? And number 3, services of housekeeping except when person supplying service is liable to be registered. Now these 3 are basically the notified services under section 9.5, where law clearly told for these 3 notified services, e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST. And if e-commerce operator does not have physical presence in India, their representative in India is liable to pay GST. And if there is no such representative, they must appoint a representative and make him liable. Correct, right? Good. And here what is the point I am telling? Similar language is there here also, which says that if order is supplying service If order is supplying service to NTOR, which stands for non-taxable online recipient, then order is liable to pay GST. And if order does not have physical presence in India, then the representative in India is liable to pay GST. And if there is no such representative, they must appoint a representative and make him liable to pay. And if order is supplying service to other than NTOR, if order is supplying service to what, sir? If order is supplying service to other than NTOR, then who is liable to pay? Receiver is liable to pay tax under RCM. That's it. Very, very interesting point. First to write this, then I'll make you write who is non-taxable online recipient. Write this first. Come on, please write. Please write, my dear friends, don't relax. Please write down, friends, don't relax. So first if you write, then I'll talk with you who is non-taxable online recipient. Come on. So if order is supplying service to other than NTOR, if order is supplying service to other than NTOR, then who is liable to pay GST? Recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. But if order is supplying service to NTOR, if order is supplying service to NTOR, then who is liable? Order is liable to pay GST. But one interesting point to be noted there is that if order does not have physical presence in India, then the representative in India is liable to pay GST. And if there is no such representative, they must appoint a representative and make him liable to pay. So actually those 2 points, that representative, no representative, language is same like your e-commerce operator. In e-commerce operator, whatever points you had, same points are there here. No doubt in that. Please complete writing, friends. Come on. So if order is supplying service to person other than NTOR, then recipient is liable to pay tax under RCM. But if order is supplying service to NTOR, then order is liable to pay GST. And next 2 points we know, same like your e-commerce operator story. Finish writing? If you finish writing, I'll also discuss with you who is non-taxable online recipient. That is important to know, because it makes a difference when order is giving service to non-taxable online recipient and order is giving service to other than non-taxable online recipient. Ready? Come on. So let me go back, guys. So this is your IGST BEAR Act. So in BEAR Act section 216 talks about who is a non-taxable online recipient. I want you to look at that, and of course I want you to write it also. But first let's understand that, then we will write. See that, who is a non-taxable online recipient? Non-taxable online recipient means any government. It means what, my dear friends? Any government, local authority, governmental authority, government, local authority, governmental authority, an individual or any other person who is not registered, who is an unregistered person we are talking about, and receiving order services in relation to any purpose. In relation to what, my dear friends? Any purpose other than commerce, industry, or any other business or profession, or any other business or profession. That is the reason why when we talk about Netflix, when Netflix is giving service to persons in India, the person receiving in India is not receiving for business or commerce, he is receiving for his personal use. So when Netflix is giving service to the customers for personal use of watching of films, then who is liable to pay GST? Netflix is liable to pay GST. No doubt in that. Come on, see that? Non-taxable online recipient means any government, local authority, governmental authority, an individual or any other person not registered and receiving order services. Receiving what services? Order services in relation to any purpose other than commerce, industry or any other business or profession located in taxable territory. Explanation you see. What is the meaning of governmental authority? Governmental authority means an authority or board or any other body set up by an act of parliament. Now don't tell ICI, wait. Set up by an act of parliament or state legislature or established by government with 90% or more participation. How much percent? 90% or more participation by way of equity or control to carry out any function entrusted to a municipality under Article 243W of the Constitution. An authority or board with 90% or more participation by way of equity or control is with government. That is important. Clear, right? That's it. Write down, come on. I want this in your book. The Bare Act definition only I want you to write. Section 2, clause 16, which defines who is non-taxable online recipient. So non-tax online recipient means any government, local authority, governmental authority, an individual or any other person not registered and receiving order services in relation to any purpose other than commerce, industry or any other business or profession located in taxable territory. Please write, come on, important. So if order is given to NTOR, order is liable. But if order is given to other than NTOR, then who is liable? Recipient is liable under RCM. So that's what we wrote here. If order is given to NTOR, order is liable. But if order is given to other than NTOR, receiver is liable. That is why in Netflix example, when Netflix is giving service, who is liable to pay GST? Netflix is liable to pay GST. Because they are given to individuals or any other person unregistered and they are not receiving for the purpose of business or profession. They are receiving that Netflix service only for personal use of entertainment purpose. So non-taxable online recipient, that is the definition for non-taxable online recipient defined by 2 clause 16. Come on, last 30 seconds. Please finish off writing. You need not write full form in your notes. Online information database, access, retrieval, services. Not required. Just write order. You know what is order. That's enough. I'll proceed then. Finish. So if order is supplying service to NTOR, order is liable to pay GST. If order is supplying service to other than NTOR, recipient is liable to pay tax under RCM. That's it. Friends, this is the end of story for section 14, my dear friends. 13-12 is not yet done. Section 14 is only done. Section 14 deals with what? Section 14 talks about what is the concept of order service, where it clearly explains what is the meaning of order, and for order service, who is liable to pay GST. That's all. That much is only given by what, my dear friends? Section 14, sir. Now let me talk about section 13-12. Come on, please concentrate. Friends, I'm discussing with you the concept of section 13-12 now. Section 13-12 talks about POS for order service. POS for what, my dear friends? Order service. Come on. 13-12 clearly says POS is the location of recipient of service. So for example, in case of Netflix, my dear friends, who are sitting and watching the videos, persons in India are sitting and watching the videos. So location of recipient is nothing but India. Correct, my dear friends? Come on, speak out. Everybody. But sometimes, my dear friends, it's practically not possible to directly tell location of recipient, because sometimes some free content we access online, or there is some paid content we access online, and we might not give our address and all, and location details are not given. Correct, my dear friends? So what they told is that if any two out of the following 7 conditions, if any 2 out of the following 7 conditions are satisfied. Come on, friends, what is the language I am using, sir? Come on, friends, what is the language we wrote? If any two out of the following 7 conditions are satisfied, then POS shall be deemed to be in taxable territory. POS shall be deemed to be in what, my dear friends? Taxable territory, that is in India. Now, interesting point, what is the reason why they have given these conditions, my dear friends? I'll tell the logic here. So, logic is very simple. Law only told POS is what? Location of recipient of service. But the problem is, in case of these online services, location of recipient may not be identifiable. The reason is very clear that recipient sometimes does not disclose his address at all. For example, if Shiva Teja want to access some content, if I just give Shiva Teja, that's enough. Or intentionally, I might give wrong address. Intentionally, I might give what, my dear friends? Wrong address. There is a possibility like that. So, law told we are giving some 7 conditions. Out of these 7 conditions, if any 2 are satisfied, then POS shall be deemed to be in taxable territory. Now, what are that? Listen. Number 1, recipient gives an Indian address. Come on, friends. Recipient gives an Indian address through internet. Recipient gives Indian address through internet. Come on, friends. Recipient gave what address, sir? Recipient gives an Indian address through internet. Then, second possibility or second condition, payment is settled by an Indian credit card or debit card. Payment is settled by what, my dear friends? Payment is settled by an Indian credit card or debit card or any other card. Now please don't tell Aadhaar card. By Aadhaar card you will not make the payment. Please, sir, come on. So what is the second condition? Payment is settled by an Indian credit card or debit card or any other card. Exactly. Next, third one, recipient has an Indian billing address. Indian billing address. Come on friends, what is the first condition? First condition clearly says recipient gives an Indian address through internet. He only gave Indian address. Second condition, payment is settled by an Indian credit card or debit card or other card. Third, recipient has an Indian billing address. Fourth, computer or device could be cell phone also, computer or device used by recipient has Indian IP address. Conference, computer or device, computer or what my difference? Device. Computer or device used by recipient has Indian IP address, and IP stands for what? Internet protocol. It has got an Indian address. Clear, right? Internet protocol IP address 192.168. We know this, right? Exactly. Next, fifth condition, recipient uses an Indian bank account for payment. So previous point what I told you was he is using an Indian credit card, debit card, other card, and this point is I am telling he is using an Indian bank account for payment, online banking, internet banking. Sixth condition, country code of SIM card. Sir, we know that, right? India has got one country code called 91. And SIM card, let me tell you, my dear friends, SIM stands for subscriber identity module. SIM card, come on, country code of SIM card used by recipient is of India. Come on, sir, what is the language I wrote? Country code of SIM card used by recipient is of India. Country code of SIM card used by recipient is of India. And last condition, my dear friends, recipient receives service through an Indian fixed landline. Recipient receives service through what, my dear friends? Indian fixed landline. Through Indian fixed landline, he has received the service. Now, what does this mean, sir? What does this mean? For example, sir, Indian fixed landline is something like, in India, we have got some internet connection, fixed cable, Act FiberNet or any other fixed cable we have got in India, or Airtel internet connection through a fixed landline through which we have taken some service. Correct, right? Fixed internet connection we have got, fixed lease circuit we got. Getting clarity, friends? So, basically law has given some 7 conditions, my dear friends, and they clearly told that out of these 7 conditions, if any 2 are satisfied, out of this what, my dear friends? 7 conditions, if any 2 are satisfied, then the location of recipient is deemed to be in India. Such a brilliant point they gave, my dear friends. Which section all this, by the way? Section 13.12, which talks about place of supply in relation to order service, where law told place of supply is the location of recipient of service. Place of supply is location of recipient of service. And if any 2 conditions out of the following 7 conditions are satisfied, out of the following 7 conditions, if any 2 are satisfied, then place of supply shall be deemed to be in India. That's it. Very, very interesting point. Please write down, come on. Please write. So POS is what, sir? Location of recipient of service. Now please write below, if any 2 out of the following 7 conditions are satisfied, it is deemed to be in India. What are 7 conditions? Number 1, recipient gives an Indian address through internet. Second, payment is settled by an Indian credit card, debit card, other card. Third, recipient has got an Indian billing address. Fourth one, computer or device used by recipient has Indian IP address. Fifth one, recipient uses an Indian bank account for payment. Sixth point, sir, country code of SIM card used by recipient is of India. And finally, 7th one, my dear friends, recipient receives service through an Indian fixed line. Come on friends, last 1 minute, finish off writing. Sixth point is what? Country code of SIM card used by recipient is of India. And 7th point says recipient receives service through an Indian fixed landline. That's it. That is the end of story for section 13, 12. 13, 13, nothing is there. In fact, we are almost done with place of supply. Just 1-2 points to close place of supply. So can I move forward? Yes? Done. I'll proceed then. Finally, the last point of discussion, my dear friends. In this, nothing is there. Section 13, 13. This point only says government shall have power to notify any description of service. Come on friends, what am I writing, sir? Government shall have power. Government shall have power. Government shall have power to notify any description of service or circumstances. Government shall have power to notify any description of service or what, my dear friends? Circumstances in which POS shall be the place of effective use. POS shall be what, sir? POS shall be place of effective use and enjoyment of a service. Place of effective use and what, my dear friends? Enjoyment of a service. That's all. Nothing is there in this, my dear friends. Come on. What did they say, sir? 13 only says that government shall have power. Who is having power? Government is having power to notify what? Any description of service or any particular circumstance in which, what, my dear friends? The place of supply shall be what? Shall be the place of effective use and enjoyment of service. So for certain circumstances or for certain services, what government will notify? In those cases, the place of supply will be the place where the service is effectively used and effectively enjoyed. The place where service is effectively used and effectively enjoyed. Come on friends, what is the language we wrote, sir? Place of effective use and enjoyment of a service. That's it. Right on. In this, what they recently notified is, one point they told is that in relation to pharma R&D service. This is recently notified. Pharma Research and Development Service. So POS is what, friends? Place of effective use and enjoyment of a service. So wherever effectively it is used and enjoyed, that becomes place of supply. Come on, finish writing. That is the end of story for section 13, and in fact that's the end of story for section 13, and that is the end of story for this beautiful chapter called place of supply, where we did not talk about CGST Act. Our focus was completely on IGST Act. Done? Good. So friends, let's once quickly revise and close with this topic, guys. Come on. So by the way, sir, in IGST Act, what all we covered? Come on, please tell me. Section 7, which deals with the concept of intrastate supply. Section 8, intrastate supply. Section 9, supplies in territorial waters. Section 10, my dear friends, place of supply related to goods. 11, place of supply for goods only, but for import or export. 12, place of supply related to services when the location of supplier and the location of recipient both are in India. 13, place of supply related to services when location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. Section 14, my dear friends, the concept of order. On that already we have spent a lot of time, my dear friends. Section 15, which talks about refund to a tourist. If you remember, I told this point about tourist, sir, where I explained to you that whenever we talk about a tourist, supply of goods to a tourist is deemed to be an intrastate supply. And when tourist is taking the goods outside India, then whatever GST he paid, that is allowed as refund to him. Whatever GST is paid is allowed as refund to a tourist on goods taken outside India. Refund of IGST paid on goods taken outside India. That's it, my dear friends. This is what is expected out of you to learn in the concept of IGST Act. Clear? Make sense? Fantastic. Come on. So by the way, what is section 13? Let's once revise 13 and close with this place of supply. What is 13.1? 13.1 says provisions of section 13 will apply only when location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. 13.2 general rule. 13.3 performance based services. 13.4 immovable property. 13.5 admission to event, organizing an event. 13.6 345 more than one location including taxable territory. Place of supply is the location in taxable territory. 13.7 my dear friends, 345 more than one state, then what will happen, my dear friends? POS is each of the respective state in proportion to value determined in the contract or agreement, and in the absence of contract or agreement determined in such manner as may be prescribed, and for which we have got rules, sir. So 13.7 says what? 345 more than one state, correct? Good. 13.8 my dear friends, in the 3 points are there: banking and financial services to account holders, then intermediary services, and one more point talks about hiring of means of transport including yachts but excluding aircraft and vessel, correct? And up to 1 month only there. More than 1 month, 13.8 will not apply. 13.9 transportation of goods. 13.10 transportation of passenger. 13.11 we just discussed, same like 12.10 my dear friends. 13.12 sir, order services. 13.13 I just told you about place of effective use and enjoyment of service. for notified services or circumstances. Good. So taking you back to our material, my dear friends. If you look at our material of place of supply, in fact, I guess everything is over, but still let's look at once. Come on. Multiple choice question, first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, all done. 7, 8, 9 also over. Look at the 11th one, my dear friends. Provider of AMC service outside India has entered into an agreement for an aircraft company PQR Limited in India. So service is to be done in India. Service provider provides repair service to the aircraft when it was in India. What is the place of supply of service? Obviously it is India, my dear friends. And this answer is because of section 13(3), performance based services. Clear? Good. Next. XYZ Limited, a company based out of Bangalore, awards online maintenance contract. Wonderful. It's an online maintenance contract of its servers located in Mumbai office to Y-Inc, a company based out of USA. And as per the terms of the online maintenance, X-Inc shall be required to perform regular maintenance from US using internet. But where is the server? Server is in Mumbai office. So place of supply will become Mumbai. Section 13(3), where we discussed about an important word called location of goods at the time of service. Performance based service, my dear friends. Same point. Next. 13, 14, 15, 16 over. 17 also done. 18, 19 also done. Then all these are examples. These also we discussed. Questions also 1 to 10 all over. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's it. So this is the story of the place of supply. With this, all the questions are over. That's it, my dear friends. That is the end of topic called place of supply. So friends, if you observe carefully, we are done with the topic of introduction. Then we have also covered the concept of supply. Then we have covered time of supply. Then we have covered value of supply. We have also done registration. We have also done place of supply. Now, my dear friends, from next lecture onwards, why did I say next lecture? Because I will stop here. Because it's over. I will not start a new topic now. Yeah. So next lecture onwards, we will start discussion about lot of small topics like assessment and audit, appeals and revisions. We will talk about penalties, offences, prosecutions. Lot of small topics will complete. We'll complete lot of small topics, demands and recovery, liability to pay tax in certain cases, various small topics will complete. Then we'll also talk one big topic called input tax credit also. But first, let's complete few small topics, then only we'll move forward to a big topic for a discussion. Clear? That's it. So I'll not trouble you. We'll stop here and close the lecture. Next lecture we'll start a new topic for the discussion. Clear? Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you. And that's the end of story for place of supply.